i.e. Tory Lanez, i.e. R. Kelly, i.e. Bill Cosby. It doesn't matter how much those motherfuckers have been besmudged. There's still some black people that hold on. Now, a lot of that is because those niggas provided a service to the black community at a time that maybe a lot of people weren't focused on that. And they didn't need to. They could have went the other way. You know, Tory Lanez could very much be just as Tory Lanez is basically Jason Derulo for black people. Tory Lanez is basically Jason Derulo for black people. Jason Derulo is black. We don't care. We don't care, right? Oh, child. It's okay. So I'm sorry, Black Eyed Peas. No, you're not beloved by the black community, but you didn't beloved us either, nigga. So what the fuck? Now, I think it's very different when it comes to Drake. I think Drake wants to be beloved. Like, I think Drake wants to be revered in a way that is like the black community reveres Beyonce. Like, she is a big pop star global level, but the black people have iconicized her. We will not let you touch her. You cannot say shit about her. We don't give a fuck about it. We just don't. Protect Queen Bee at all costs. All of the costs. It don't matter how much it costs. I don't give a fuck if you're a Queen Bee fan or not. Now, a lot of times for me, you know what I hold up when it comes to Beyonce? I hold up the way that she's delivered her art. And I never thought that she was, maybe specifically in the later years, you know, Formation and on, but I never thought that she was specifically creating just for black people. I thought she was just creating, and it just so happened to hit a chord with us because she was phenomenal. She is phenomenal. And everybody wants to be associated with the best, right? But Drake is the best. I mean, for a long time, if niggas got the Drake feature, you knew that was like, that is your gateway to a number one. Just put Drake on your single. So why we can't... Shout out to my nigga Los Dad, because this is a conversation that I would probably like to have with him. Why do black people not beloved Drake? I mean, we love Drake. We love Drake, but he is not beloved by the black community. And I don't even think that's up for argument. That's just what it is. We love him. We twerk to him. We will do a challenge that he has. But we still, in my mind, we still don't protect him the way we protect Beyonce. We still don't have that kind of like iconic something for him the way we do Beyonce. Is it too much? Is it that we can't love two people in the same way because they're two different people? Oh, you might be onto something. You might be onto something there. All right, well, that's something to explore. Listen, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to set the table. All right, so we are back. So I have been dealing with like being single, right? And so one of the things that I have been trying to do lately in my life is, as opposed to dwelling on the aversion or the struggle, I am more focused on the possibility, right? So as opposed to talking about how lonely being single can feel, I've chosen to focus more on being single and the power in that. Now, that's some crazy shit to say for me, because I have never truly felt like there was much power in being single. You know, I know that as a human, I'm not meant to live or to do life alone. But I also know that it doesn't necessarily always balance out to amorous love. I also know that people want to love someone, and that's okay. We are biologically built to love someone, to correlate with others. What's not okay, though, is losing ourselves because we've chosen to not be single. I have lost myself in really toxic relationships and struggled with singlehood for a very long time. I have jumped into situationships way too fast. I have swiped right and left with an itchy trigger finger on the Nasty Girl apps just because I ain't want to do shit by myself. You know, like, we are taught very young that your desirability, your lovability, and your worth is all matched on whether or not you're single. So if you're single, that means you're not desirable. You're not lovable. You're not worthy. That's a hard way to feel on a Friday night, bitch. Okay? Shit, that's a hard way to feel. Now listen, for a lot of us, the panorama has given us a great excuse to say, well, I'm inside, so poo-poo to you. And for many people, the panorama has given them an indication of just how alone they've actually been feeling. No one to call to have a fun game night. No one to have a fun meal with or to split a blunt with. Listen, a lot of that is just the feeling of wanting to love someone. Child, I have made some really crazy, desperate attempts, okay? Calling exes out of desperation and then feeling fucked up later on about it. Calling niggas that I know I have no business dealing with, only to get a lukewarm response from them and then chasing after the thrill of wanting to capture them. I'm not even concerned about them for the most part, as much as my ego is like, how dare you not? All of those feelings and all of those behaviors have oftentimes led to some regrettable responses from myself. I've gotten together with guys that I wasn't into. I've been rejected by guys that I was really into. I tried to be someone that I wasn't just so that I could be with somebody. I ignored the deep voices telling me that you don't even like this person, girl. What are you doing? And have pushed the gas because there's value in not being alone. All of those behaviors, though, made me feel worse about myself. Again, I mean, we've been programmed since a very young age that there is no happiness in being alone. You have to have a boyfriend. You have to have a girlfriend. You need a date to this wedding. You need a husband, bitch. Finding the most amazing, monogamous, romantic, financially well off, loves his mama love is just exactly what happiness and failure can look like. Oh yes, I said failure. Oh, because bitch, haven't we all been there in that relationship that looks so good on paper? The nigga that looks so great on paper. I like to call them the IBMs, the ideal black man. See, when you're in those and you still feel lonely, there is no worse feeling. See, it's okay to feel lonely when you're single, and it's okay to be single. But there is no worse feeling than being in a relationship with someone and still feeling alone. Been there, done that. And a lot of times it wasn't even that person's fault. It was just me and this person weren't supposed to be together. And because I wasn't brave enough to have self-loyalty to myself, I didn't walk away when I should have. Instead, I stayed in solitude in a relationship. See, for most of us, we hear if you're single, you are incomplete, you are irregular, you are less than, you are defective. Take it back to the store, bitch. It doesn't curl. The Jerry does not curl. But there is something completely liberating when you can get a table by yourself at the restaurant or go to the movie by yourself. Now, I know that we're not outside right now, but when you can cook an amazing breakfast for one in bed, when you can smoke that blunt by yourself and come home and know that that little piece that you left is still there because what? Single, sexy, and free. Okay? There's no better feeling. Now, listen, people will have perspectives about you if you are single. And I'm not telling you that being lonely is the benchmark for being happy. You're going to feel lonely, but you don't have to create the moniker for yourself that I am lonely. You are amazing. Your company is valued. You don't need to turn down the dial on who you are just to turn up the dial on a relationship that you're not even sure that you want. People are going to feel bad for you just for feeling bad, okay? Now, if people feel bad for you because you are single, isn't that better than people feeling bad for you because you in a relationship, but they just saw your man on the Nasty Girl app, or they just saw your man out with his side bitch, or they just saw your man out with his main bitch, or they just saw your man? Listen, here's what I know. When you tell someone, yo, I'm single, or I'm ending a relationship, people more times than not, they're going to feel bad for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can mourn a relationship. We can mourn what being single we think it will look like. But more times than not, I have had the most amazing self-discoveries when I was single. When I was forced to stretch. Being in the same relationships that you're always in, you get to behave the same way you always have for a certain period of time. No one is challenging you to grow or to stretch. So when you do finally meet someone, a lot of times you can seem disconnected or have a scared version of yourself that you're bringing to the table. One that could be lined with pressure and desperation. Hanging on to that Birkin bag full of problems from the last relationship that didn't work. Because a lot of the times when we are single, instead of really working and chipping away so that we can be the best versions of ourselves, we go right back to the drawing board of needing to find the one. And child, let's not even get into the way that you have to meet people nowadays. Swipe left, swipe right. dig